In 2014, Kenny Veach headed out for a quick overnight trip to the Sheep Mountains in Nevada. He typically traveled alone on these excursions, camping out for multiple days with only the bare minimum of supplies. He didn't like using GPS or maps. He was out there for the love of hiking and enjoyed it because it allowed him to clear his mind. He did this fairly often. However, his journey on Monday, November 10th, was a little bit different than the usual ones, because Kenny was going out in search of something very strange that he needed to investigate. It was a cave, which he called the M Cave, because of its entrance looking like the capital letter M. He had found it a few months back, but said that it gave off strange vibrations that he could feel throughout his body. And even though he went into every cave he came across out there in the desert, this one he was terrified of. But at the urging of several people online who wanted to see more of what he was talking about, Kenny set out to find it once again, and he hasn't been seen ever since. "47-year-old Kenny wasn't a prolific content creator on YouTube, with most of his 61 uploads being guitar chord tutorials or recordings of him just playing songs he knew. However, he was active in online forums, using the nickname Snakebite McGee, humorously referring to an incident where he was bitten by a rattlesnake while trying to place it back in some prairie grass on one of his outings. In reference to what he did out there in the desert, Kenny said in one post, "I've been doing this sort of thing for over 20 years. I go where no one goes and I never take anyone with me. On these hikes I find skulls of all sizes and occasionally really old animal traps. I trek over mountain peak after mountain peak and sleep on peaks under the stars. And sometimes I encounter giant cliffs to scale to get myself out of difficult situations, but I always manage to make it back." He was undoubtedly a real adventurer. He made it his mission to explore every inch of the Nevada mountains. The dry landscape brought him joy, peace, and a sense of calm, especially in his later years. During his journeys, Kenny made use of the bare minimum of resources, a practice many who knew him considered typical. And it was in this same manner that he approached his final expedition, one that would take him to a place he knew that perhaps he shouldn't be going to, but the last thing he wanted to do was let his fellow online commenters down. As you all know, within the realm of YouTube, we all stumble upon a mix of strange tales and weird people, and amidst this vast sea of content, one video grabbed people's attention that was titled "Son of an Area 51 Technician." In it, a guy shared his life growing up with a father who worked at that mysterious facility, one that was located near the Sheep Mountains in Nevada. And while his story was interesting, Kenny had an even more intriguing tale. In the comment section of the video he wrote, "That ain't nothing. I'm a long-distance hiker, and one time during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave. The entrance to the cave was shaped like a perfect capital M. I always enter every cave I find, but as I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became. Suddenly, I became very scared and hightailed it out of there. And that was one of the strangest things that ever happened to me." And these words sparked a flood of curiosity online. Many users demanded more details about the mystery, completely overshadowing the original content. And Kenny, usually reserved, found himself unexpectedly thrust into the spotlight. And, as many comments urged Kenny to return to the desert and film the mysterious cave, the excitement to uncover more about this mystery grew, making Kenny the focus of a crowd hungry for answers. And the area where all this takes place is near Nellis Air Force Base, which is a large airport owned and operated by the U.S. Department of Defense. It also happens to be about an hour's drive away from Area 51, and an even quicker helicopter ride. And for years, unmarked planes and choppers have been seen flying in and out of Nellis. They're no secret. If you're in the area, you can see them for yourselves. They aren't marked because they're owned and operated not by major airlines but the US government, and all people on board these crafts work in some capacity for the United States, as well many of them, upon landing, making their way to Area 51. While Area 51's exact purpose is officially unconfirmed, it is, as you know, widely speculated to be used for developing experimental aircrafts and weaponry systems, some of which may have come about by reverse engineering UFO technology. UFOs that have crash-landed or have been excavated. Many UFO enthusiasts also believe that Area 51's underground facilities house alien artifacts and even extraterrestrial corpses. All the commenters and even Kenny himself believe that maybe this strange M cave may have had some connection with all of this. And maybe it was an entrance to a secret tunnel built in connection with these places. That those weird vibrations and terrified feeling he got was there to ward off people who stumbled upon it, and that if he could just dig a little deeper, maybe he could get past it, and the cave would open up to an entire alien underground facility or something like that. With this invigorated push from the people online and his confidence in knowing the terrain well, Kenny was up to the challenge. He was going to film the M cave and go in deeper and send everyone the video proof. On October 18th of 2014, he uploaded a video titled M Cave Hike to his YouTube channel, and people couldn't believe it. And they were so excited to see what he had found. The footage opens with an abandoned mine deep in the Nevada desert. In the distance, you can see the mountains and a long, deserted valley. The sound of Kenny's footsteps draws closer, and suddenly, he steps into the frame to address camera. And as he made clear, his goal was to explore the same area where he discovered the strange cave and share it with his followers. He talks about the long hike he had to make to get to that point, adding, "My goal today is to hike all day, roughly 10 hours in search of the cave." Continuing his explanation, Kenny speaks about the fear he felt when he decided to enter that cave. On that occasion, he carried a 9mm firearm with him for protection against any danger. And despite this, he appears lively and happy to share his passion with others, eager to find the cave and show it to all of them. The video then goes on to reveal the extensive exploration Kenny had to undertake across the barren valleys and endless mountains of the desert. These landscapes stretched out before him like ancient, ominous idols. One thing that was made abundantly clear by the footage was Kenny's deep experience in navigating the challenging environment of the Nevada desert. But it also became evident, at least to his followers, that Kenny might not have been entirely truthful in the first place. Despite thoroughly scouring the area where the cave was supposed to be, well, he came up empty-handed. The reaction from those following the case was swift, as many branded him a liar and even a charlatan, accusing him of seeking fame by fabricating stories he couldn't prove. This was almost too much to take for Kenny. He wasn't lying, but he couldn't prove it. And suddenly, the support he had received turned into the disdain from thousands of people across the internet. And his followers began clamoring for him to undertake a third expedition, and this time insisting that he come back with evidence. Among the comments, one stood out. A user named Lemmy Kilmister ominously warned Kenny, "Do not go back there. If you find that cave entrance, don't go in. You won't get out." We'll never know if Kenny read these words, but what we do know is that on November 10th, not wanting to let anyone down, he set off to find the cave again. Only this time, he never came back. Several days later, his disappearance was reported by his loved ones. Immediately, the police began to search for him. For days, no sign of Kenny was found, and people began talking about how he might have actually found the M cave and was transported to another dimension. Or maybe the powers to be found him snooping around and took him out. Search and Rescue used his video footage that he had uploaded online to see where he might have been, at least so they could zero in on that area. He had talked near an old mine shaft, which they located on November 22nd, and down at the bottom of that shaft, they found Kenny's phone. This indicated that he had indeed ventured out to search for the cave once again. In an interview with a local media outlet, Dave Cummings, the commander of Red Rock Search and Rescue, said, "It doesn't mean he's in the mine shaft, but we've tracked him as far as we can. We're mobilizing our other teams to search the designated areas." But ultimately, this was the first and final lead found regarding Kenny. After that, all traces vanished, giving rise to the mystery surrounding Kenny Veach's peculiar disappearance. And so, what really happened to Kenny? Was he killed because he stumbled upon some secret government project? Did he actually meet the aliens, or was he just an adventurous hiker who had an accident somewhere out there? Some of the theories suggested that Kenny found the cave, and within it, something sinister awaited him. Being close to Area 51, it's not uncommon to imagine that some hidden mystery was located in that place, especially considering the original story where Kenny described experiencing strange sensations while exploring those areas. On the other hand, others propose that the explorer came face to face with a military secret. In their efforts to maintain anonymity, they silenced him. After all, Area 51 is a military base. It's possible he crossed paths with law enforcement, resulting in an unfortunate outcome. However, there were those who took a more realistic view. If we look at the first video of Kenny, we can see that the terrain was quite challenging, even for an experienced individual. As a result, many have speculated that he might have had an accident and perished due to a lack of first aid supplies or enough water to survive the harsh desert conditions. In 2021, the YouTube channel Explorer Places posted a video claiming to have actually found the cave that Kenny was describing all along. The footage, which lasts a little over 8 minutes, showcases an opening shaped like an M near Area 51, but it turns out to be a small, neglected indentation in the mountain, with no other remarkable features apart from its peculiar entrance shape. Despite the theories and possible answers regarding Kenny's disappearance, there is an important factor to consider before jumping to any conclusions. In the exploration video that Kenny managed to upload before he went missing, there was a woman named Sherry Pilgrim who claimed to be his girlfriend in it. You can actually find her YouTube channel dedicated entirely to Kenny. At that time, she provided some new clues to help unravel who Kenny actually really was. In a long comment she left, she mentioned that she had accompanied Kenny on multiple occasions during their explorations. And they enjoyed spending time hiking together and discovering beautiful places. One of her favorite things, as she stated, was walking and camping throughout the Nevada desert. Even though they always made sure to have everything they needed when they were together, according to her account, Kenny was a complex person. He'd been struggling with deep depression for a long time and chose to deal with it on his own without seeking professional help. Before he disappeared, Sherian pointed out that he had quit his job. She also emphasizes that extensive search efforts were made, and finding Kenny's cell phone just a 4-hour hike away from his vehicle is proof that he didn't want to be found. Additionally, Sherian mentions that Kenny didn't have his video camera with him on that hike, which could be found in their shared apartment. So why would he go in search of the cave if he didn't intend to film it? A noteworthy side detail is that Kenny's father unlived himself when Kenny was 20 years old. Kenny had also once mentioned that if he ever chose to do the same, his body would never be discovered. We may never know the truth about what happened to Kenny Veach. The desert completely consumed him, leaving no trace behind. The desert, which once brought him so much joy, became his final resting place. It's possible that Kenny's depressive nature, combined with his relentless search for the cave, led him to vanish into the mountains. How exactly, though, we'll probably never know. So that's the story of the mysterious M Cave and Kenny Veach's disappearance. I'm Andrew, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. And did you know that I made a feature film specifically made for you in mind? It's a dark thriller about a kid getting revenge on a sadistic cult. It's called An Angry Boy. It's available to stream on June 7th on Amazon, iTunes, and Google Play. It's won a bunch of awards at some festivals, and you can find the trailer online to get a taste, but When it comes out, it would mean a lot if you rented or bought it to help support the work we're doing. Appreciate you guys very much. I'll see you in the next one.